trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the second race of the second season of the NNSCRA SRX Series. Here tonight at the track that started it all last year, the season opener of the debut season was here at Five Flag Speedway. It got moved back 1 week on the second season schedule, but it should bring about just as good racing here tonight as it did one season prior. Now, this track is mostly known about track position for the most part. One of the few tracks last year that we didn't see a whole lot of passing. Usually if you started up at the front, you finished up at the front, but there have been a couple of changes that have been made, and obviously we've got 3 new drivers in the field here this season as well. So, those couple of factors put together might lead for some side-by-side racing, maybe some passes for position. But it's going to make things interesting here as well because a number of the drivers obviously have raced here from last season and more than likely have got a strategy formulated now this year. The one thing that I find a little bit interesting that will be different from last year to this year, and we talked about this last week at Stafford, is the fact that it's not the top 3 finishers in Stage 1 that get points anymore. Everybody is going to get points in some way, shape, or form from the Stage 1 winner all the way back to whoever finishes in 12th. Obviously, the field gets inverted, and then we end up having the same point system for the second half of the race that we had last season. So, with those extra points on the line from the 4th place to 12th place finisher in Stage 1, it will make things interesting now of whether or not certain drivers that didn't get the best starting track position here in the early going, if they'll be content to kind of ride back there, wait for the field invert, and then have themselves up towards the front for the second half of this race to try and get those very valuable second half points to try to either keep themselves up in the point stands or improve their position in the point stands. A couple of drivers coming into tonight did not get their season started off the way they wanted to last week, and we'll document those drivers in just a few moments. But let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup from Five Flags Speedway, as on the pole position is going to be Dylan Young. Dylan Young comes into this race 8th in the point standings right now. Then alongside of him is going to be Ali Liera. In the pink machine, she's going to be coming into this race 7th in the point standings currently. Row 2 will find Austin LaPlante in the green machine. Austin LaPlante is 5th in the point standings, 7 points behind the points lead after last week's season opener. Carson Gum, the defending co-champion, will be on the outside of row 2. Carson Gum comes into this race 2nd in points, only 1 point back from our current points leader. Seth Cole is going to make up row number 3 on the inside line, that is. Seth Cole comes into this race 4th in points, and he'll be alongside of Jesse Turner. Turner going to start 6th position. He is 6th in the point standings as well coming into tonight. Nick Gunther making his 2nd SRX Series career start. He'll be on the inside of row 4. Nick Gunther is 9th in the point standings coming into this one. Benjamin Miles will be alongside of him, rolling off from 8th. Benjamin Miles is 10th in the point standings coming into tonight's festivities. In row 5 is where we'll find last week's winner from Stafford Motor Speedway. That is Jovan Anderson, who won his first SRX race in his first career start in the series. He'll be rolling off from the 9th position. Despite the fact he won last week, he is 3rd in the points coming into tonight's race. He's 2 points back from the points leader. Defending winner of this race 1 season ago, that is Keith Batson. Batson will be rolling off from the outside of row number 5. Keith comes into this race 11th in the point standings, only accumulated 6 points last week. Another driver who accumulated very little points last week is going to be on the inside of row 6. That is the other half of the defending co-champions, Michael Norman. Michael is 12th, last in the points coming into this race. He only accumulated 5 points after last week's festivities, and alongside of him is the guy that comes into this race, the points leader. Not a very good starting track position here tonight for Levi McIntyre, who comes into this race. He won in the point standings, but will roll off shotgun on tonight's starting lineup. Let's go down track side. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports and get ready to race here tonight at Five Flag Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines.
Here's a look at your race info. Very much the same as last week. 30 laps of racing to start this off. Then we will have the field inverted at the completion of stage 1. And then the final 30 laps to determine who will be potentially the second winner of the season. Jobin Anderson may be able to go back-to-back. We'll have to wait and see about that. Dylan Young is still searching for his first victory in the SRX series. Obviously, Ali Liera the same, making her second career start here tonight. Into the restart zone they will head. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and we are racing here tonight at Five Flags. Contact in the early going. Carson Gum forcing up the middle there. Got into the left rear quarter panel of Liera. Now going to try and tuck it behind LaPlante, and he's going to hook LaPlante into the wall. Caution is going to fly on lap number 1, and it's a big one. Right behind race leader Dylan Young. LaPlante was the one I saw around. There he is. He's got damage on the right side. Are we still green? We're still green. The caution didn't come out for that. I could have sworn the caution would have come out, but it did not. LaPlante, I guess, kept going. Carson Gum, we saw, kept going. And now Dylan Young's got about 3 counties between him and this battle for second. Jesse Turner going to go around the outside of Seth Cole. Benjamin Miles trying to take the third spot now, as Turner will clear for the runner-up position. Well, I was going to say, I didn't really expect to see the caution come out at all here tonight, maybe outside of the stage caution. Last year's race at Five Flags went clean and green the entirety, but my goodness, we're going to show you here. We're not even going to wait for a potential caution to come out. We're going to show you on your NNSCRA split cam what happened there. LaPlante, who's got that damage, none the worse for wear. He is in the 4th position now, just got around Seth Cole, so despite the contact we could see on the right side of his machine, it didn't seem to affect him all that badly. I believe that Ali Liera was involved in it too. Obviously, you guys are seeing the replay. I am not, but Ali was in that vicinity. Looks like she's okay, still in the 5th position. The one that paid the big price for that was Carson Gum, and just from what I was able to barely see, it appeared that maybe Carson Gum tried to tuck in line behind LaPlante. Wasn't that clear and might have hooked him in the right rear quarter panel. Of course, I'm describing all this, and you guys are probably already seeing it. Hopefully, I'm describing what you're seeing, but I don't know for absolute certain because you guys are seeing the replay. I'm still here live trying to figure out what exactly happened. Dylan Young probably asked his spotter what just happened, as he had about 3-4 drivers breathing down his neck, and now there's almost a full straightaway between him and Jesse Turner for the race lead. Last time by 1.3 seconds. Nick Gunther, Keith Batson, this is for 7th. Seth Cole trying to get back up there as he lost a ton of spots just moments ago. Dropped from 3rd back to 6th. He's trying to reel Ali Liera back in. LaPlante, very shallow entry there into turn 3. Might have been trying to throw a block in case Liera had thoughts of trying to take the 4th position. Doesn't look like that right side damage is slowing him down any, though. Looks like he is up to speed still, so that's good news for LaPlante. No doubt that under the stage yellow, they'll be giving that machine a little bit of TLC. Try and make it a little bit more aerodynamically sound, as Gunther going to lose a spot to Batson. Batson going to swing around the outside. Preferred line here tonight is going to be that outside line to make passes, and I'm actually really surprised that we're seeing as many passes taking place here as we are. Mentioned there were some changes that were made to try and give drivers the ability to be able to make passes. Didn't have a whole lot of passing last year, but we're seeing passing here tonight. Hopefully that'll be a sign of things to come. A couple of other tracks going to be coming up that there wasn't a whole lot of passing at. South Boston, I believe, was one of them. Nashville was another one, the season finale. So hopefully changes that are made here tonight, we'll see those same kind of changes, or at least changes for the better in upcoming races that, by all rights and purposes. I know it's a short track. Short tracks aren't exactly known for a lot of passing, but those races were, for lack of a better term, snooze fests. Benjamin Miles trying to get to the inside of Jesse Turner, opened up the door and now slams it. That battle for second place taking about roughly a second and a half behind Dylan Young. LaPlante tried to play defense against Ali Liera, left the top side open. Liera is there. Batson on the top side of Seth Cole as well, so we got a battle for fourth and a battle behind for sixth. Cole's going to hold off Batson for the moment. Liera's not going away quietly, though. She's going to stay to the top side of LaPlante and is going to have the run off of turn 4, going to clear for the spot. So move Ali Liera back up to the fourth position. And now kind of freight training on the top side. Seth Cole jumps up there on LaPlante, trying to move back up inside of the top 5. Keith Batson going to follow in line also. So LaPlante stuck on the bottom, pinned down there. Going to drop from 4th back maybe to the 7th spot if Cole and Batson are able to complete the passes. Nick Gunther's closing in too, so LaPlante's problems may not be over. If Gunther can get up there behind the red machine of Keith Batson, the freight train may continue for LaPlante. Mentioned about Levi McIntyre starting shotgun on the field. Michael Norman and Levi McIntyre started in the final row. They've picked up a couple of spots, getting around last week's winner Jovan Anderson as well as Carson Gum. Nobody has really lost touch with anybody, though. You see them all stacked up here. Carson Gum, who got the big loss of positions in that incident back on the first lap. Ooh, little contact there maybe as Norman forces his way to the inside of McIntyre, but Carson Gum, he's still up here, trying to get around Jovan Anderson now. Every position is important here in the first stage because every position gets a points payout now. Last year, it was if you finished in the top 3, you were good. If you finished 4th on back, you got nothing. That's not the case anymore. How about Jesse Turner? Got away from Benjamin Miles to hang on to 2nd, and now he's got thoughts about getting up here and maybe taking the stage win away from Dylan Young. That orange machine of Turner, very good apparently on the long run. Either that or Dylan Young used up a lot of his stuff trying to gap the rest of the field. We had almost a second and a half from Dylan Young back to Jesse Turner about 10 laps ago, and it has closed up to less than half a second. But now Turner's got to figure out how he's going to set up Dylan Young, potentially for a pass. As we keep tabs on that, also got Seth Cole and Ali Liera there nose to tail for the 4th spot, and they may have some more enter into that vicinity. Keith Batson's closing in. Austin LaPlante and Nick Gunther also within the vicinity, so we may have 5 drivers battling it out for the 4th spot here in the closing stages. That last time by Dylan Young, much better lap than Jesse Turner. Opened the gap a bit, about 4 5/100ths of a second. It's about 4/10ths from him back to Jesse Turner now. It's going to be 5 laps to go here in the first stage when they come back around. Dylan Young, 8th in the point standings coming into this one. Jesse Turner is 6th. Jesse Turner 10 points behind the points leader. Dylan Young is 17 points back. And with Levi McIntyre right now mired back in the 10th position, both these drivers could gain some pretty good points on the points leader. Carson Gum and Jovan Anderson back there as well. As a matter of fact, your top 3 in points, none of them are running any higher than 10th position. Trying to remember if last year if Dylan Young had a stage victory. I believe he did. It was late in the season. Oh man, I just saw Jovan Anderson smoking on pit road. Last week's winner, 3rd in points, is looking like he's going to not finish out this stage on the racetrack. They will be able to go to a backup car. He will start shotgun on the field as a result for stage 2. So maybe a good thing it happened here in stage 1. A tough break there for Jovan Anderson. Again, you guys have probably seen what happened to him on the NNSCRA split cam, as looks like he had more than engine failure. Looks like he got maybe turned into a wall or something. That's a tough break there for him. 1 week removed of getting his first victory of his career and his first start. White flag in the air here for the completion of stage 1. Dylan Young found himself another gear. He pulled away from Jesse Turner, says, "You're not taking this stage win and these 12 stage points away from me." And he's going to come out of turn number 4, and he is going to see the green and white checkered flag. Dylan Young picks up the win here in stage 1. Turner will cross in second, and Benjamin Miles will be third. That's going to be some good points for Benjamin Miles as well, 10th in the standings. I believe that everybody's crossed the start finish line. You're going to be seeing here, maybe already seeing it, the points payout here for the first stage. 12 points to Dylan Young, 11 to Jesse Turner, and 10 to Benjamin Miles. Jovan Anderson, with DNFing in this first stage, he's only going to get 1 stage point. So that is a tough break there for him. He will start shotgun on the field, and because he ended up finishing back in the 11th spot, Carson Gum is going to be the pole sitter for this upcoming second stage. So as we step aside for a quick commercial break, we'll be back here in just a few moments for the completion of tonight's race from Five Flag Speedway Stage 2, coming up right after this. Welcome back here to Five Flag Speedway as we get ready to finish out the second half of this race. Who's going to pick up the second checkered flag of the season. Carson Gum with finishing last in that first stage. He will be the pole sitter here for stage 2 alongside of points leader Levi McIntyre. So your top 2 in the points going to be your front row. Michael Norman, Nick Gunther, and Austin LaPlante. It's going to be the top 5 as the green flag set to come back out here tonight. Final 30 laps of the evening. Also, an apology on my part. Realized that I ended up not going back and saving the replays of what happened there with those a couple of incidents, including Carson Gum, Austin LaPlante, Jovan Anderson during the course of that first stage. So I apologize for that. As Levi McIntyre on the outside takes the race lead, but Nick Gunther wants it. He'll move into second place. Carson Gum and Keith Batson, they'll battle it out for third. That top line, as we saw in the first stage, could be the preferred lane, and Batson will take it. Gum's trying to, ooh, he got into Keith Batson a little bit there. I thought he was going to try and tuck up in front of Ali Liera, but instead, try to drive back down to the bottom on Batson. Now, Gum might be able to slot into fourth. Looks like he will. Liera will slot into fifth, and she's got her hands full with Jesse Turner, who finished second in that first stage. Turner's worked his way up to the front pretty quickly. Defensive line there by Nick Gunther, not going to pay dividends. Batson's going to move to the top there through 3 and 4. And Keith Batson's going to move into second place. Remember, Keith Batson, as we mentioned, top of the program, defending winner here, so he knows how to get around Five Flags. Had some pretty good starting track positions, 6th on the restart here for the second half. But he's got over a second to make up between himself and Levi McIntyre. McIntyre trying to pick up the first win of his career here in the SRX Series and extend his points lead. Gunther Carson Gum now in a battle for third. Jesse Turner's going to get around Ali Liera, so move him up to fifth. And Jovan Anderson, winner last week, suffered a DNF back there in that first stage. Had to start shotgun on the field. Started 12th, already up to 6th. Looking for back-to-back victories here in his NSCRA SRX career. Michael Norman now moving around the top side of Ali Liera. Jesse Turner and Carson Gum. This is for 4th position. Give the spot to Carson, and Jovan Anderson is going to get alongside of Turner now for 5th place. Looking at lap times, Keith Batson 17.8 flat. Levi McIntyre only 2 1,000ths better, so they're almost equaling each other's lap times right now, which is good news for McIntyre because that means Keith Batson is not closing up at the moment. A 7.47 that time for McIntyre and a 8.49 for Batson, so McIntyre is pulling away. Nick Gunther has been able to shake Carson Gum, at least for the moment, and he's trying to see if he can reel in Keith Batson, trying to make it back-to-back weeks where one of the new drivers in the series takes a checkered flag. Anderson, of course, was the first last week, and Anderson's now up to 5th. Looking for more on Carson Gum. That's for 4th if he can get alongside, and indeed he will. And I believe I mentioned this last week, but let's take nothing away from our 3 new drivers here this season, Anderson, Gunther, and Liera. Granted, it's the first time they're taking part here in the SRX series, but these are no rookies. These are very well-seasoned veterans. They have been around in the sport, in the NR community for years and years. The experience level on all 3 of them is not rookie status, I can guarantee you that. So while they may be considered rookies in the series, it's in starts only, not in experience at all. We saw Jesse Turner reel in Dylan Young near the closing stages of the first half of this race. Right now, if that's going to be the case for Levi McIntyre, it's going to have to happen sooner. For Keith Batson, it's going to have to happen sooner or later because Levi McIntyre is continuing to pull away. Levi has yet this entire race to put down a lap time lower than an 18-second lap time. That last time by is 17.888. Now his lap times are falling off a little bit from what he ran in the early portions of this stage, but he's yet to run any lap time over 18 seconds. And as soon as I say that, he just ran an 18.043. So it took him, what, almost half of this segment to run a lap time up in the 18s, whereas Keith Batson, he's been almost consistently running in the low 18s. That last time by, he ran a 17.9, but his lap times have been nothing like Levi McIntyre's. The one thing that I would be worried about, though, in that case, when we saw Turner reel in Dylan Young in stage 1, is Levi McIntyre using up his stuff too much, trying to maintain and or grow the gap between himself and Batson? We'll have to wait and see. There's still 14 laps to go. Nick Gunther trying to hold off Jovan Anderson. That is for the 3rd position. Carson Gum in 5th. Well, right now, it's looking like it's going to be a good points evening for Keith Batson. Not maybe as much so for Michael Norman. He's mired back in the 8th position right now. And remember, Batson and Norman came into this race in the single digits. 6 points last week for Keith Batson total and 5 points for Michael Norman. Well, Batson here this evening is going to get a number of those points back, it looks like. Michael Norman, who's back in traffic, may not be nearly as lucky. Right now, it is basically the McIntyre versus Batson battle potentially for this win. They are stacked up 3rd place on back. You have about 5 cars you can throw a blanket over right now. Nick Gunther, Jovan Anderson, Carson Gum, Jesse Turner, and Ali Liera. That's 3rd back to 7th. And Gunther trying to do everything he can to keep those drivers behind him. He's been pulling a lot of defensive moves here down the back straightaway going into turn 3. Trying to keep Jovan Anderson in his rearview mirror. Jovan Anderson might be getting a little bit frustrated because he obviously lost some points to Levi McIntyre back in stage 1. And with McIntyre leading this race, he's going to have himself a pretty hefty points gap, one would think, going into next week, which is going to be our first dirt track stop of the season. We're heading back to Knoxville Raceway. That was an interesting one last season. Hopefully we'll see a race just as interesting this year. That, of course, will be taking place next week. And if you want to be a part of that race, you can. Link in the description below to the Back to Bristol 2022 GoFundMe fundraiser. Any amount that you donate, any amount at all, automatically locks you into this season, the remainder of this season of the NNSCRA SRX series. And I'm pretty certain we're going to have this come back for a third season. This may be a series that'll run for a long time. I've actually really enjoyed doing this series back in Season 1 and still enjoying it here in Season 2. So this may be a series that'll continue on for several seasons. Levi McIntyre, talk about enjoyment. He is enjoying the view, both out the windshield and out the rearview mirror. 5 laps to go here, and he has almost 3 seconds between himself and Keith Batson. This is a walk in the park for Levi McIntyre. And we documented about Levi McIntyre, the struggles he had last year. And this year, it looks like they have really turned it around. Keith Batson just trying to hang on to that second spot. He's got almost 3 seconds back to third place. Nick Gunther. Maybe a battle for fourth here in the closing stages. Carson Gum, defending co-champion, trying to reel in last week's winner, Jovan Anderson. Benjamin Miles and Michael Norman back there in a pretty good tussle. That would be for, I believe, the 7th spot. Correction, that's for 8th. Miles on that preferred top line, trying to hold off Norman as best he can, and he will do so. You see Dylan Young back there. Getting that stage victory was good, but the track position he got afterwards as a result did not help him out. He's right now back in the 11th spot. So he'll get stage points, but he's not going to get very good race points. As out of turn 4, Levi McIntyre is going to see the white flag here at Five Flag Speedway one more time around this half-mile short track. What a performance by Levi here tonight. Started on the outside of the front row. We believe we have a caution out here on the final lap, but it doesn't matter. We're racing back to the checkers already, and Levi McIntyre is going to win here tonight at Five Flag Speedway. It looked like it might have been Michael Norman who went around there on the final lap of this race. And I believe that first and second across the line there, you see the rest of the field filing on across. They had already taken the caution, it appears, when they crossed the start-finish line. So, Austin LaPlante was involved there. And there you see Michael Norman filing his way on by on pit road. So it's going to be a really bad point tonight for Michael Norman. And it was not going to be that great to begin with, but it's going to be even worse now. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a look at a replay here since we have the opportunity. Then we'll come back for the full finish results. Going down to turn 3, and I believe this is probably similar to what we had happen back in stage 1 between Carson Gum and Austin LaPlante. This time it's LaPlante. He's going to turn down into Michael Norman. Probably didn't realize he wasn't clear or was just trying to pin the blue machine down to get around him. That was a battle, I believe, for the 9th position at the time, and both of them up and into the outside wall. Pretty heavy contact, and subsequently they're both going to be finishing, I believe, in the 11th and 12th position here for the finish of this race. LaPlante came into this race 7 points out of the points lead, 5th in the overall standings. Michael Norman was dead last in points, and looks like he may be leaving here tonight, still dead last in points. It's some pretty big hits there on the final lap of this race, and you can see the checkered flag waving right there. So most of the field had to kind of wait to come around to take the checkers under file formation. The only two that came back under power at full speed were Levi McIntyre and Keith Batson, but it's not going to affect really the finishing results at all since it was on the last lap and everybody raced back. Let's take a look at those finishing results now. So here's the way that they all finished here tonight at Five Flag Speedway. McIntyre with the victory, first of his SRX career. Keith Batson's going to bring it home in second. Nick Gunther will be third. Last week's winner, Jovan Anderson's going to be fourth, and Carson Gum will complete the top 5. Jesse Turner was 6th, Ali Liera in 7th, 8th Benjamin Miles, 9th Dylan Young, Seth Cole in 10th. All these drivers finished on the lead lap, although it really doesn't matter whether they finished on the lead lap or not. The position remained the same. The points pad is still the same. LaPlante and Norman, who we saw there involved in that incident on the final lap of this race, they will finish subsequently in 11th and 12th position. Well, no doubt about it. I think that from second on down, the point standings are certainly going to be shuffled up quite a bit. But one thing that will stay the same is Levi McIntyre will more than likely still be the points leader. Came in the points leader and picks up the checkered flag here tonight. So what a roll that tan machine is on so far in the second season of the NCRA SRX series. Next week, these drivers, they pack it up tonight and will head to Knoxville Raceway, our first dirt track stop of the season. Cannot wait for that one. Hope you guys will join us as well. Once again, if you want to be a part of the series, link in the description below holds the Back to Bristol 2022 GoFundMe fundraiser page. Any amount you donate automatically locks you into the remainder of this season and more than likely some oncoming seasons of this SRX series as well. If you enjoyed tonight's race, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to part of the crew today. We showed you your full finisher results, and we are now going to show you what your point standings look like heading into next week. Levi McIntyre going to try and continue to hold that points lead at the top of the board. Next week, we'll see you at Knoxville. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. Good night from Five Flag Speedway.